Pakistan remains deeply concerned at the recent grave developments and has always sought to prevent unilateral attacks on any country. In this spirit, we strongly condemn the war being waged on Iran while negotiations were underway. We have reaffirmed our support for sovereignty and territorial integrity of our brotherly nation. I join all Pakistanis to condoling the martyrdom of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. May Allah grant him highest place in Jannah. In the case of Marka-e-Haq, they turned India's attack on our motherland into a landmark strategic victory. On the western border, when the Taliban regime ramped up a long line of attacks, the night of 26th February, our security forces acted decisively to signal zero tolerance for any incursions or sovereign territory. The political leadership stood united. The people stood resolute. At the outset, I want to express my nation's undying gratitude to the heroic defenders of our borders. It is because of the vigilance, bravery, and service that we are sitting here secure in our workplace and homes. In both successive military encounters, whether short or long, the sacrifices of our army, our forces, navy, rangers, frontier corps, agencies will never be reduced to numbers. We only see their action on the media with pride. We don't really see the blood and sweat and tears that go into the training and hardship and service. Each operation reflects planning, discipline, and restraint. Each martyr represents a family that's upon ultimate service for Pakistan's stability. When I visit the families, I feel the same pain that I felt when I lost my wife, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, who was martyred by terrorists in the prime of her life. I therefore remind you all that as state we must continue to support their families with dignity and honor. 2025 marked a turning point for Pakistan, defined by the resounding military victories in Marka-e-Haq, which decisively repelled external aggression and shattered the myth of regional conventional superiority. Nobody in South Asia will be free and safe until the Kashmiris win their freedom for Indian occupation. Today, trapped in the strategic short-sightedness, India's leaders said they are preparing for another war. As a lifelong advocate of regional peace, I would not recommend it. At the same time, I would also say that any aggressor should prepare for another humiliating defeat. Make no mistakes, we are ready for you. My message to them is move away from war theater to meaningful negotiation tables, because that is the only path for the regional security. Pakistan is a responsible nuclear state. We understand the weight of that responsibility. At the same time, we are a state that defends itself decisively when required. Our conduct reflects maturity, confidence, clarity of purpose. In 2025, we acted when necessary and exercised restraint once objectives were achieved. The message was understood clearly within region and beyond. In 2026, last week, in fact, when India began to amplify the proxy operations via Afghanistan, the Taliban regime saw with shock and awe what Pakistan can do if pushed past the red line. Until that week, we had tried every possible form of diplomacy to prevent an outbreak of military response to terrorist incursions from Afghanistan, for as war as always the last option to state accepts a strike attack on its soil. Article 51 of the UN Charter gives us the right to defend our sovereignty. We let both India and Afghanistan see a fraction of our capabilities. Over the last 3 years, our armed forces and law enforcement agencies have undertaken determined intelligence-based operations against Indian-sponsored foreign terrorists. This is not a counter-terrorism campaign. The military is fighting alone. The entire nation stands united with its armed forces against cross-border terrorism. Our actions spelled out the limits of our tolerance for attacks from Afghanistan, particularly Indian-sponsored TTP and BLA and affiliates. Let me be clear, the soil of Pakistan is sacred. We will not allow any entity to domestic or foreign to use neighboring territory. Report from the United Nations Security Council monitoring team has described presence of terrorist groups in Afghanistan as an extra-regional threat. This report warns that any other country could fall victim to another catastrophic attack if the issues are ignored. However, it is sad fact that despite multiple diplomatic engagements by Pakistan and our friendly brother countries, the Afghan de facto regime continues to provide safe sanctuaries to a variety of terrorist groups, including Al-Qaeda, BLA, and TTP. All promises they made in Doha not to allow these terror groups to operate from Afghan soils have been conveniently forgotten. They must choose to dismantle the terror groups that survive on conflict and its war economy. None of this will feed Afghanistan's children or create opportunities for national cohesion. In our end, we have never treated the Afghan people as anything but kith and kin. We have never walked away from dialogue. The Afghan people need a break from endless wars. Don't take away the choice of the future of prosperity connected to peace. I would urge them to stop being used by other countries as a battlefield for their ambitions. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan remains deeply concerned at the recent grave developments and has always sought to prevent unilateral attacks on any country. In this spirit, we strongly condemn the war being waged on Iran while negotiations were underway. We have reaffirmed our support for sovereignty and territorial integrity of our brotherly nation. I join all Pakistanis to condoling the martyrdom of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. May Allah grant him highest place in Jannah.